us 6 guys have gone out to Tokyo with one aim, as I say, to come back with that gold medal. But before we can get our hands on that gold medal, we've basically got 2 hurdles to get through. Hurdle number 1 is we've got to qualify from the heats into the final. And hurdle number 2, assuming we make the final, we have to finish first. Now, Roger Black had a fantastic World Championships in '91. He had won a silver medal in the individual 400 metres. So for the heats of the 4x4, we decided the guy deserves a rest. He's run a heat, a second round, a semi-final and a final in the individual 400. 4 hard races, picked up a silver. The guy deserves a rest. He doesn't need to run the heat. Big John Regis wasn't a 400 metre runner. His best distance was 200. But we knew Big John had one good run in his legs over 400 metres a year. Believe you me, it was a year. It took him 364 days to recover. Legs that big, the amount of lactic acid that produced, a lot of recovery. So again, we decided to save that one good run he's got for the final. So that left myself, Akabusi, Richardson and Maffey with the job of getting the British team from the heats into the final. Cut a long story short, we won our heats, no problem. There were 4 heats, it was the first 2 teams to qualify. We were the fastest qualifiers. I think we should share this conversation with you guys. So we've gone, okay. And Roger's really serious. And I thought, oh my goodness, one of them's injured. And I goes, please don't tell me one of you's injured. No, nothing like that. So I said, what's up then? And Roger says, Chris, tell him what you told me. And we all look round at Chris, and Chris is like, you know what Roger's like, there's nothing serious. We were just talking, and you know what? I'm just going to come out of it, we need to change the order. So I thought, oh, okay. Maybe Roger on first, me on last. And we said, what were you thinking, Chris? And Chris said, well, I think I should run the last leg. And John and I looked at each other and said, excuse me? He said, no, seriously, I should be running the last leg. There's no other place for me. You've got to put me on the last leg. So John said, okay, why? And Chris explained. Chris's individual event is 400 metre hurdles. He was expected to finish 7th. With 150 metres to go in that 400 metre hurdles final, Chris was in 7th place. By the time he crossed the line in 3rd place. Won a bronze medal in the individual 400 metre hurdles. You would think Chris was happy. He wasn't. And the reason he wasn't happy is because the tactics that Chris has used, just to break it down into a very simple way that you can understand, with about 120 metres to go in a 400 metre hurdle final, Chris will put his final kick for homing. But because he had run so quick in the first 200 metres, he felt he'd gone really, really quick, trying to keep up with everybody in the race. He felt that if he kicked at 120, he would run out of steam with about 50 or 60 metres to go. So he thought he would save that kick and kick with about 100 metres to go or 90 metres to go, which he did. He kicked with about 90 to 100 metres to go, caught everybody apart from the 2 guys that finished 1st and 2nd, and he was gaining on them as he went over the line. Had the race been 5 metres longer, he would have caught those 2 guys in front of him. Or, if he had kicked when he was supposed to have kicked, he would have gone past them. So Chris was gutted with the decision that he made, that snap decision that he made there and then in that race, because it cost him. But the one good thing to come out of it is Chris realised what shape he was in. And he said to us, guys, I am in the shape of my life. I have never felt so strong. No, I've never been running so fast. In training, I am blowing up the stopwatch. He said, this is my one moment. It may never come around again. Put me on the last leg. Give me that baton either 10 metres up or 10 metres down, and I'll bring us a gold medal. So after he gave us a complete explanation of why he should run the last leg, we were convinced. I mean, the guy was serious. You could see it in his eyes, you could see it in his body language. We knew this guy meant business. So we said, okay, let's just assume for the moment, Chris, that we put you on the last leg. Where's everybody else going? If they ain't got an idea about that, I don't know. All I know is I should be running the last leg. So he said, all right, and we had a little bit of a giggle about it. And Roger, who had been pretty much quiet through Chris's whole explanation, said he's right. We need to put him on the first leg, on the last leg, excuse me. So I said, okay, Rog, you'll come off the last leg. Where are you going? He said, there's only one place for me. I said, where's that? He said, the first leg. So I've gone, okay, why the first leg? And Roger again explained, and I'll be very brief about it. Roger turned around and said, well, listen, I won a silver medal in the individual 400. I said, yep, thanks for rubbing that in, Roger. I know that. He said, technically, that makes me the 2nd fastest man in the world over 400 metres. So I said, yeah. The guy that beat me was an American, Antonio Pettigrew, but we know they're going to put him on the last leg. I said, yeah. So Roger said, so if I run the first leg, at the end of the first leg, Great Britain will be in the lead because there's nobody else in the world that is quicker than me apart from the guy who's running the last leg for the Americans. So we will be in the lead. We can decide if we want to stay in the lead and extend that to at least 10 metres or just tuck into second place and give Chris the baton in the preferred position, which is somewhere within 5 metres behind the leader. And we've got that choice. So all of a sudden we thought, actually, that's not a bad idea. Big John piped up at this point and said, well, listen, guys, I'm down to run the third leg. And to be honest with you, I've got my head around that. I know what I'm doing. I'd like to stick and run the third leg. So I said, fine. I said, so I'll slip in and run the second. Well, I had no choice, did I? I said, I'll slip in and I'll run the second leg. And we said, OK, this could work. So we had a bit more of a talk about it. We went and saw the two reserves, Addy, Matthew, Mark, Richard, explained the whole thing over to them. They thought it was a brilliant idea as well. So we decided to go into the team managers, quite late at night now, didn't care, needed to get this sorted. And they, with a little bit of convincing on one of them, they said, yes, we can do it. Go back and get some sleep. We'll make all the changes on the entry forms in the morning. So that was great. So we all went to bed, woke up the next day, and it's the big day of the final. Two things that I would tell you about competing at World Championships or an Olympic Games. And if anybody went to London, London Games, you may know this. Number one, at a World Champs or Olympic Games, you have to be warmed up and ready to race an hour before your race is due to start. So our race is at 8 p.m, but by 7 p.m, you've got to be completely warmed up. The second thing is, obviously, there's two tracks. There's the main stadium where all the action happens, and there is also a warm-up track where you go and do all your warming up. So we all go down to the warm-up track, we go and do our normal warming up, goodness knows what, I'm not going to bore you with that. But needless to say, by about 10 to 7, 5 to 7, we're all warmed up and we're ready to go. Bang on 7 o'clock, you hear an announcement asking all the teams in the men's 4x400 metres final, please make your way to tent A. And in the middle of the warm-up track were 3 tents, tent A, tent B and tent C. We've been now told we've got to go and report to the tent. It's 1 hour to go now before one of the biggest races of your life. Physically, if you're not in shape at 7 o'clock, there's nothing you can do to physically get yourself in shape by 8 o'clock. You've done all the training, everything is done. There's nothing you can do. But mentally, it's a completely different story. Mentally, if you're not quite in shape, and what do I mean by being mentally in shape? In the zone, focused, ready to go. If you're not quite there at 7 o'clock, you've still got an hour to get yourself mentally prepared and in the zone and ready to go by 8 o'clock. Likewise, if at 7 o'clock you are in the zone and you're ready to go, you know what you're doing, you can lose that mental edge. So what I'm saying to you is an hour to go before any competition, any race, it's not a physical thing, it's 100% a mental game. So having been in that position before, the British team, we decided we're not going to go to that tent at 7 o'clock, we're going to try and stay away from it as long as we can. So we managed to kind of stop ourselves from going in and hang around and just delay that time we had to go till about 7:15. We finally got told they would keep calling the teams, the remaining teams, please come to tent A. 7:15, the coach has gone, right, come on guys, off you go. And we walked to the tent, there was an official on the outside. In fact, there was an official on the outside of the tent, and we've walked up to the tent, and you can imagine it, we're all serious. I've got my headphones on, I've got my bag over my shoulder, really got my serious face on. So has Roger, so has John. Chris has got a big grin on his face. And we walk up to this tent like this, and there's an official there with a clipboard. And he doesn't even look up. He says, which team are you? And Chris pushes forward and goes, the winning team. And the bloke looks up, didn't even bat an eyelid, didn't crack a smile or nothing. He said, just get in. And he opened this big old, it was more of a marquee than a tent, but it wasn't a massive marquee. We walk into this tent stroke marquee, and all there is possibly no wider than than the width of this room, and it's, I don't know, maybe from where the edge of that wall is to the end of the wall here. So it's not a massive area, but in there you walk in, and there is 7 other teams, all just sitting on chairs. There was no TV, no radio, no nothing. There was a trestle table in there as well, and there was a couple of officials in there. And you walk in, and it's just silent. And we were the last team to walk in, so as you can imagine, as soon as we went in, all eyes went straight to the doorway where we were. And this happens all the time. So I've got my headphones on, and there's a few things that happen. Some athletes hate that environment, and they are literally in a corner, head in a book, trying to just not look at everyone or anyone. Other people just spend the whole hour looking at their shoelaces. They don't want to look at others. You get other athletes that are trying to be a little bit cocky and they're doing a bit of stretching and stretching in front of you, trying to make out that they're trying to psych you out and all that. The Americans are yeah, come on boys, and they're high-fiving and chesting each other. Yeah, this is our boy, come on son, yeah, woo, and they're giving it all that sort of stuff. And then you get the other sly ones who try to psych you out. And they're just sitting there like that, staring at you. And you walk in and somebody will pick on you and they will just go. And I remember the first championships, and I have to tell you this, it's quite funny. The first senior championships I competed in was in a few years prior to that. And it was at European Championships. And I had made the relay final, or Britain had made the relay final, and I was running the first leg. And I'm warming up with Akabusi, because Akabusi kind of took myself and Roger under his wings and sort of showed us the ropes, so to speak. And we're warming up, and he's saying, listen guys, you guys are the young pups. When you get into that report room, he goes, these guys are going to try and get under your skin. They're going to be bumping into you, they're going to be treading on your toes, they're going to be eyeballing you, all that sort of stuff. He said, keep an eye on your kit, because they will move your bag. And just stand up to anything they do. He goes, the worst ones, and because it was European, he goes, with the Russians, they will come up to you and stand this far from you and just stand there and stare at you. It's a bit like a boxing match, you know when you get the two boxers meeting in the middle of the ring. He goes, it's just like that. He said, if he stands up to you, takes a step, you take a step and stare at him. If he takes two, you take two. And just stand there and stare at him. He goes, it's going to be hot in there, and if you start to sweat, make your sweat go upwards so they can't see you, you know. And that was the advice Chris gave me. We're warming up going. So that's the kind of atmosphere that we're in. And there's all this psyching out going on and goodness knows what. Anyway, after a few minutes, everyone's settled down and we have to go through a series of checks. So I said